Welcome to the Brain Software Podcast, coming at you
Third
from
try.
us trying for the third time to get this right.
There's a problem with the gloves.
Welcome to the Brain Software Podcast, coming at you from the Hypnotic World Epicenter, Toronto, Canada. I'm Chris Thompson, and today on episode 252, we're going to be laughing a lot. NLP, hypnosis, and police trainer Mike Mandel and I are going to look at hypnosis Q&A, and we're going to laugh a lot.
Let's hope
so. Stay tuned.
Disclaimer. So now it's time for the big disclaimer. Don't bother listening unless you want to be entertained and informed beyond your wildest dreams, people. So here we go. Lucci.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, and indeed all my dear friends, I'm delighted to accept this stalwart award on behalf of Lord Melbury, who's far too occupied with his beloved racehorse to come in and accept it himself. In any case, let's ask the question, why is it you can always get enough brown paper and cardboard wherever you are, but you can never get enough vinegar to go with it?
We are not dicks. So let's welcome to the Hypnotic Fish and Chip Shop, the man who loves malt vinegar and salt shooters.
Hurrah!
The man who is the only hypnosis trainer you'll ever need.
Correct.
Because he is the Keith Richards of hypnosis. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Mandel.
Notice how I unhooded myself. It's fantastic.
Explain the gloves now.
Okay, well, Glenn Gould had gloves on all the time, but I just got into some useful side banter about this. We had to erase the whole thing because it wasn't appropriate. So let's go, Chris.
Just a little. Yeah. All right. So there we go.
Usual banter and promotions.
Right.
May Architecture of Hypnosis is sold out. There's a waiting list of 9 people, so
you're not going to make it. On. But what we do recommend is you get on the November class now. It's available for sign up. Go to MikeMandelHypnosis.com. Click on the events link. You'll see a link for the Architecture of Hypnosis. You can sign up. The class is November 11 through 15 in Toronto. It's going to sell it as well. It's going to be awesome.
Does it say now that May is closed online?
May, it says sold out. Yeah.
Okay, good, because I found that it wasn't.
it is, it's sold out. It's a little overfull, but we let one more spot go than we were supposed to. But anyway.
Well, here's the think tank words. Which is appropriate, yes.
Okay, let's talk about...
And we're not the sort of people who need these particular kinds of gloves coming from... wonderful lives. Now, the think tank words.
Yes, we're going to do. All right. Think tank words. We're going to apply them to the content. We're going to see
right, and then we Dracularize them. Content. So the first one,
you'll have
Chris,
to explain that.
This is a Savo Bukacek think tank word selection, all three. Prosecution.
Okay, prosecution. I think of lawyers, the law. I think of consequences. So you only get prosecuted if you've done something wrong. And consequences, of course, then takes me to, well, things can be good or bad.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So we are responsible for our own actions, and there are consequences.
Okay.
What do you get?
Prosecution. You can prosecute anything, really. Well, let's just prosecute that.
All right.
I don't really know if that's true. To me, I'm getting a lateral jump. I'm thinking prosecution to prosciutto, which is such a nice sausage.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah, but whether or not it becomes hypnotic remains to be seen. What about shrivel?
What about shrivel? Things dry up, they shrink, they get all wrinkly. Well, when a problem dries up... Oh, memories of having to restart this podcast.
Shrivel in the shrivelry. Yeah. Like Jack the frickin' Shriveler.
I'm sure most people listening are probably familiar with the Seinfeld episode. I was in the pool.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Do you want to unpack it? No, I was kidding.
We don't shrinkage.
What about damage? Damage is the third one.
All right. So shrivel, I think of hypnosis and problems getting smaller or...
Oh, that's nice.
Damage...
Hypnosis can undo the damage.
Undo the damage, right. And neurological circuitry in your brain is essentially new construction, if we think of it that way.
Right.
So we can undo damage, we can fix broken things, we can build new things.
Build new things. Now, this, generative change. This is a challenge here because we've got to Dracularize these.
Okay,
So it should be in the fewest numbers.
Explain how that, why is this funny, first of all?
Well, it's not funny. It's just a really useful thing if you like doing stupid things.
And you see how many...
steps it takes to get to Dracula.
Okay, so let me start with the first one.
Go ahead.
Prosecution, electrocution, death, Dracula.
Okay, I like that. That's good. I'm going to go a different route with this, or route if you're in England. Prosecution to prostitution. To prostitutes killed by Jack the Ripper, to people killed by their blood being taken away, to Dracula. Okay, so what about Shrivel? What about Shrivel? I can do that one.
Oh, you do it.
Okay, when someone dies, their body shrivels up.
Right.
And you're really shriveled if you're in the grave, if you're not a vampire. Oh, speaking of vampires, Dracula.
Oh, there you go. Okay, damage.
That's a tough one.
Damage.
I know.
Sticks can get damaged. Sharpened sticks.
Stakes. Yeah.
Stakes through the heart. Dracula.
That's not bad. That's not bad. I'm thinking damage. This damn age we live in. This damn age where people don't know how to deal with vampires like Dracula. Brilliant.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, up we go.
Q&A about hypnosis.
Now we got a question from Anna in Spain, this was an email question. So I'm going to read this and then we're going to unpack it.
Oh, nice.
She said, I have been watching several of your videos and a question came to mind. Can a person become Dracula? Scary? No, she said, can a person become more hypnotizable? I think I'm not very hypnotizable. I've seen a couple of hypnotherapists and received several sessions and definitely didn't manage to reach the right state.
Reach the right state.
Yeah. There are several things I'm hoping to work on because nothing else is working and I need to change certain ways. I've written an email asking information about one of your courses, the self-hypnosis course, but then I realized I should know this because I wonder if it can work for me given my history experiences with hypnosis.
First of all, this is not the Anna that we know.
No,
Spain.
this isn't
it's obviously a very common name.
Not the normal Anna. It's the other normal Anna.
But if you are the other Anna, who is our student from Spain, we'd love to have you come back to Toronto sometime and hang out as a resource student. Yeah.
Stupid club.
All right. So if you're out there listening, email us. Tell us you're coming to Toronto. Come hang out for a week.
Yes. Now, of course, this whole thing, I think I'm not very hypnotizable. We run into this all the time. And that's one of the reasons I don't like the chart. She went on to say that Dr. Spiegel says that maybe a quarter of people are not hypnotized.
So we get into this Stanford scale of hypnotizability or the...
Okay. Message to Dr. Spiegel. Absolute respect here. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. It's back to us using a standardized method on everybody or people depending on that horrible progressive muscle relaxation induction where some people who are hyper-analytical are not going to enjoy it. They're not going into any kind of trance. We prefer leverage or leverage inductions like catalepsy or anything pretty well. People often would say, I can't be hypnotized. I'm not a good subject. And Gil Boyne was great with this because he would ask the person to finish the sentence. Say this. So they say, if I were a good hypnotic subject, and finish the sentence. And they'll answer it. And they'll say, give me a different answer. And they'll say, if I was a good hypnotic subject, I would have to give up control. And, interesting. Give me another answer. And they start to realize this is purely a self-generated belief that has nothing attached to it. I think a lot of it, as Dave Ellman said, is people only will not go into hypnosis, provided they're willing, if they're afraid.
I remember you doing exactly this with one of our students in our live classroom many years ago. Actually, it was back when we were in Brennan Hall, the smaller room.
Okay.
And somebody asked a question about hypnotizability and being able to go into hypnosis, and you attacked it exactly that same way, live in front of the class, and it was brilliant. And
of course, the person didn't go into hypnosis.
They did. This is the reason why you sharpening the blade before every class. This is the metaphor. Maybe you want to explain what that metaphor is. It is
a good one
to a lot of different things beyond hypnosis class.
Sure. Like I said, my wife and I were talking about this yesterday. I've lived, eaten, and breathed hypnosis for 50 years. And I said, I'm a lot of things I'm not very good at. But one thing I do call myself an expert in is hypnosis. And I've come by that honestly after all my vast experience in it and the trainings and so on. It's just so damn good at it. Okay. But here's the thing. Even so, when we have a training, we do 2 a year, and we do a quick thing in HypnoThoughts for our friend Scott Sandlin and the great group there in Las Vegas, but it's a 5-day training. Now, one could say, I've taught this so many times, I could teach it today. I probably could teach it today.
And I think most trainers do exactly that. They show up and they just teach.
But as Chris knows, I take an entire week with no interruption from anybody, lock myself in my office with anywhere between 30 and 50 textbooks and my own notes and power read it and just get the blade so frickin' razor sharp that when someone makes some comment, I will be able to go through all the information and find what I need. So, but we got a good result with the person who thought that they couldn't be hypnotized. So what you're saying?
Yes, it was a breakthrough just as you described, because what happens is the person goes, oh, that's in their mind. I'm imagining they're going, oh, that's silly. Oh, okay, cool. But
yeah, I'm not sure how it works, but it does work. But this thing about not very hypnotizable, I love that question. Who hypnotized you into believing that?
Yeah, it's because people have this feeling or this belief that hypnosis is going to feel super different than a normal state.
Or that they will inevitably blackout, 40 minutes has passed.
Remember nothing.
They feel like they come out of a general anesthetic. That's not the case 99.999% of the time. Some people might do hypnosis that way. But all we need you to do is focus on the steps, follow the procedures as we tell you. I said, when I was a therapist from 1992 to 2000, so about an 8-year stretch, a lot of the people I worked with said after that, and well, not, let's say a lot, maybe a couple of dozen said, oh, I don't think I was hypnotized, but they still got the result.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a couple of things here. So from my perspective, when I want to bring this back to self-hypnosis too, because that was part of Anna's question, is self-hypnosis. When I'm doing self-hypnosis, most of the time when I feel the trance, whatever that means, it's more of an awareness that I have a focused state of attention on something and, jostling the microphone.
Sorry.
It's an awareness that I have a really hyper-focused state of attention.
Right.
And I get a sense in my head. I do have a bit of a,
so that's how you do
feeling
hypnosis.
of some sort of, I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah, you don't need to. So, because he's made the point that it's unique to him. So, hypnosis is different for everybody. We just need your brain to start processing in a different sort of way. And if you don't do the steps and follow them and do exactly as we tell you, you will go into trance. You may not recognize it as the sort of trance you're expected. He says, getting ready to cough.
I noticed that you were about to cough, so I'll take over for a moment and say,
I'm back.
Anna, when it comes to self-hypnosis, you can definitely get a lot better at it through practice. So that, for everybody, for sure, you can do self-hypnosis. You can get better at it. You will train yourself to be a better hypnotic subject every step of the way.
And you can get better at any kind of hypnosis, hetero or self-hypnosis. Erickson said his best subject became his best subject after 300 inductions.
Yeah.
Hypnosis is a learning state. Not many people do it perfectly the first time. So rejoice, you'll do well.
All right, what else have we got here? We got a whole
I think
bunch.
we're pretty well done.
We got a whole bunch of notes.
Yeah.
I didn't realize we had this much content.
Well, that's all right.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's start with incrementalism versus massive action. This came up in a Sunday newsletter. So in case you're not aware, you can sign up for our newsletter, and we send out a newsletter that Mike writes every Sunday called Open Mike. So this actually was the source of, or the topic, I should say, on last week's.
Yes, correct.
Mike. Talk about it.
Well, incrementalism we talked about a lot, which is the concept that making small changes, even microscopic changes over a long period of time can yield spectacular results. If somebody, practices throwing darts for 10 minutes a day every single day instead of 2 hours every Sunday, they will get better and better and better at it just because their brain is responding to the stimulation and producing new neural pathways. But having said that, incrementalism isn't the best thing for certain situations. When you have an emergency situation, something really getting your attention. I don't mean like your house on fire, God forbid, but things like if you have massive problems in your marriage or your key relationships, if you're undergoing tremendous financial pressures, or you have a health crisis. It's
gang of strangers attacking you in
where there is that, yes.
You're not going to incrementally,
yeah, let's see if this works. Yeah. But that incrementalism, when applied to something like, I was just very sick with flu or COVID just a couple of weeks ago. And I didn't say, well, let's try taking some echinacea for 2 days and see if that works. Okay, that didn't work. I actually got worse. Let's increase the vitamin C and sleep an extra 10 minutes. Well, that hasn't worked. I've got worse. No, I throw everything at it immediately. Lots of rest, lots of fluids, hot soup, echinacea, all the different remedies and things. Yeah. I don't care which one has worked. I just want it to get better quickly. So if you have an emergency situation or a very high-end situation that requires immediate attention, do not do incrementalism. Throw everything at it. And this actually comes from naval warfare. And I used to play a simulator called Harpoon many years ago. And the idea is if you're in a naval war, I don't mean fighting with belly buttons, but if you're in the ocean and you see an enemy's guided missile cruiser and you're in one, or a destroyer or something, you don't say, okay, well, let's fire one of our deck guns at him and see if anything happens. No, what you do is you frickin' unload. You fire everything, a swath of missiles and crap at him, so his Aegis system or whatever it is can't shoot them all down, and you're going to overwhelm him, because if you don't, he will do it to you and will win. That's not incrementalism.
Yeah,
that's massive response.
I like how you said you don't care which actual...
Yeah, let's stop the battle and find out which missile hit him. That'll be good to know in the future.
Whatever you want to call it. There you go.
So when you got a bad situation, really bad, throw everything at it. That's our advice, and it seems to work. What about the whole thing about making problems worse before you make them better?
Yeah,
that's so paradoxical.
So I think we've spoken enough on incrementalism.
That's why I've changed the topic already.
I was going to have us wrap it up to something useful, because we do want to leave people with these empowering questions along the way, right? So where are we already taking incremental steps where it might be a much better thing to do massive action? And let me give you a quick metaphor. I mean, I don't mean a metaphor that I'm not going to explain. This is going to be an obvious one. If a corporation is undergoing financial pressure, they will often make executive decisions and say, we're going to have to do a massive layoff. Like, I think, in fact, I just finished reading the Elon Musk biography that Walter Isaacson read.
For the seventh time.
We mentioned this on another podcast. Well, when he took over Twitter, he looked at it and went, whoa, this is like a disaster. We have to get rid of 70% of the staff. I think it was some huge number.
Awesome.
But massive action was taken. It wasn't, oh, well, let's lay a few people off, and
then spend 6 months tracking it and see if it's made any difference.
So all I want to do here is bring us back to this, to what in your life maybe are you using incrementalism without having realized it until right now, where you should be taking massive action instead. Think about it.
Brilliant. And you can tell by the results. Mm-hmm. You have to calibrate, is what I'm doing working? If it isn't, do something else.
Okay, now we can move on to...
Well, I'm back into incrementalism. I'm enjoying this. Making problems worse rather than better.
I'm just incrementally moving to the next topic.
Brilliant. Well, I've taken massive action. I've gone 4 topics down now to presuppositions. Anyway, the bottom line is, we often work with people when we're teaching our students about dealing with something like physical or emotional pain. We find out the SUDs, the subjective units of distress. How bad is it right now? How bad can you feel that in your body out of 10, with usually 10 being unbearable, 0 being nothing? They typically say, oh, it's about a 6. And we say, can you make it worse? And they look at us like we're insane.
Yeah, so a lot of the times people think, wow, that's bizarre. Why would you purposefully make someone feel even worse than they already feel? Well, the answer is because it's very helpful for them to unconsciously get the message that they are in control of how they feel in some way, at least.
Right.
So if you can take them and elicit the problem and they say, oh, it's a 7, can you really focus on it? If you do that, when you do that, can you ramp it up and make it even worse? Can you make it an 8 or a 9?
Because the implication is, if they can turn it up, they can also turn the same dial down again.
And you don't explain that. You don't say, ha, you made it a 9. Good for you. Guess what? That now means you're in control and you don't actually need me, and you can turn that down to a 2 or 3 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You don't explain that.
No, of course not. There's a temptation, I'm sure. And Erickson, as you know, working with a woman who wanted to lose weight, he got her to gain exactly 5 pounds first. And again, it's teaching the same message to the person that you have control over this. If you can gain 5 pounds, you thought you had to lose 25. Oh, no, you got to lose 30. It's But the point was, you've got control. If you can gain exactly 5 pounds, you can lose exactly 30 pounds.
It's actually symptom prescription in a sense.
In
every single case. In this case, it was, I'm too heavy, I want to lose weight. Well, okay, I'm gonna get you to gain weight. I'm gonna prescribe the same problem we already have, just making it worse. He did this over a period of time, obviously, with that client, because you can't just say, focus on it. Can you gain 5 pounds right now? Duh. Obviously. But but in a microdose situation, right, you can have somebody focus on that anxiety or that fear of speaking in front of a bunch of people, whatever they call it, and in that moment they can ramp it up. So in a sense, you are you're prescribing more of the same.
Yeah, and Derek Balmer used to call these paradoxical interventions as well. So it's the same sort of thing. Now, what about another aspect to this, making a problem worse before resolving it, is by making it worse, we cause the person to feel kinesthetically in their body the emotion, which we need. You feel all your emotions in your body. If you haven't noticed that, just check. You'll find out it's true.
Where do you feel that sadness? Over there.
Right over there in that library, down 2 blocks away. No, of course not. And when we get the person to feel it in their body, we are causing the evaded, troubled, by fear, anger, sadness, trauma, ego state, subpersonality to become executive into the prefrontal cortex to connect to it, because that's the one we have to heal, not the one that knows about it. And by having them feel it and ramp it up, it ensures that ego state is executive. I worded that so well. I sounded like a neuroscientist or something. It was just wonderfully done. I'm quite impressed with my own. I've lost the thread.
Our social media team is going to end up going, that was a great clip, right?
Thanks, buddy.
This is going to end up on TikTok as one of those 40-second things. There we go. All right. Where else are we going from here?
I want to talk about, this is very controversial, but it doesn't have to be. Hypnotic regression and hypnotic progression.
Oh, I know where we're going.
What do we mean by those? And what do some other people mean by those? And is it accurate what they're actually doing and believing? Hypnotic regression we use. And I've had, not very often, we don't need it very often, but I've had a conversation with our good friend Anthony Jacquin, a very skilled hypnotist and trainer, about this very topic a number of years ago. And he said, people who think that they're regressing into an event in the past, he said, they're not really going anywhere. We're accessing an event so we can clear it, but we don't think we're doing some sort of time travel or sending them back into the past or anything. And when we say regression, we don't mean past life regression. We don't do that. We don't teach that. That's more religion and spirituality than hypnosis, in our opinion.
And would you say, sorry for the interruption.
No, I was enjoying it. I've got to read through some
clarifying would you say that the subject, I don't think I've ever even asked a subject this question, but would you say that the subject believes they are 5 years old or whatever the case may be in that moment? Or do you believe that they feel that they are 5 years old and they are inside of that experience? They're associated into this memory.
Good question. We don't know because it's going to be different for every human.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
The thought I'm looking at is whether they believe it or not, we're still doing the same thing and clearing
Exactly.
it. Yeah, we're clearing the same thing. We're just affecting information in the brain, how it's stored, and setting people free from all this crap. So when we say regression, we mean we're taking them mentally back into an event, whether it's associated or dissociated, clearing up the past so they can then live a useful and happy life without that. But having said that, what about hypnotic progression? Well, we use that as well. Put the person in the trance and it's almost like future pacing in a way. We're saying, and now see yourself going into work next week and your boss is there and he starts yelling at you. What do you see yourself doing? Now we're dissociating them from it, future pacing it.
A new behavior on an imagined future.
And the person goes, I'm dealing with him easily and effortlessly and with a bit of humor. He's not intimidating me at all. Yes, that's hypnotic progression, the way we look at it. Now, some people, very nice people, we just disagree about the evidence here, whether or not there is any. Some people actually now think they are hypnotizing people in a hypnotic progression and sending them literally into the future in some sort of hypnotic time machine and then asking them what's happening in the future. Well, if someone says, it's 820 years from now, Atlantis is going to rise again. Wow, this is amazing. Atlantis is going to rise. Did you see? Well, who the hell's going to be around to check, first of all? If anybody thinks they're hypnotically progressing into the future, I want to know what the Toronto Sun headline is going to be on April the 2nd this year. That should be a simple thing. If you can tell me that Atlantis is rising again, you certainly should be able to look and see something as innocuous as a newspaper headline.
Yeah. Now, didn't you have another example of this?
What? It's going to be good, I can tell.
Didn't you had a story about this?
Which one?
About the lottery numbers or something like that.
Oh, gosh, yeah. One woman, I was on a talk show with a woman who claimed to be a psychic. I've never seen the evidence. Even the people who say they see auras, I can always say, okay, I'm just going to stand around that corner. There's 3 of us here. I get them to commit first. How wide is my aura? Oh, you've got a strong aura. It's like 4 feet out each side. Oh, what are the colors like? Oh, green and purple. Oh, what about him? Oh, his is all red and mud. Oh, what? And I get the 3 descriptions. Say, okay, we'll go in the other room. One of us, since it projects so far past our body, we'll stand just around the corner. You see the aura and tell us which person it is. Oh, no, well, you can't do it. Like, why not? You just told me you can see it. So we let it stultify. But the person on the talk show told me that she was a psychic and all this. And I said, You can see into the future. Yes, I'm a clairvoyant. Okay, well, then why don't you pick the lottery numbers for next week? Oh, we can't use it for ourselves. The powers don't work that way. That's great. I totally agree. Okay, so predict the lottery numbers, win the 20 million, and give it all to charity. Don't take a penny. Oh, no, we can't do that either. Yeah, because you can't frickin' see it, is the point.
I love how you get them to commit, and then you spring the trap.
Well, that's the awesome.
Yeah, it's quite smart. Okay.
Just our opinion, folks, just not seeing the evidence.
What else have we got to here? Oh, do you want to talk about presuppositions?
Well, you know what, Chris? Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Instead, we have to now go right to our commercial.
Are you serious? Oh, yeah. Okay, let's do the commercial. Then we'll come back. We'll do some presuppositions.
Yes.
And then we have about another 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's fine. We're all right.
Okay, excellent. So let's go to our commercial break. Tonight on the Jack Ruby Birthday Network.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad.
What's all the excitement about, Evita Barone?
Dad, I just saw an amazing guy on YouTube. You want to hear about him?
No, not really, son. I'm not even slightly interested in anything on the internet unless it's for one of our fine Shizjig Corporation ads.
But Dad, the man was talking about you.
About me? What did he say? Who was he?
He's a congressman, and he said you're going to be indicted.
Indicted? What the hell did I ever do to anyone?
Well, he said he bought one of the new Shizjig electric cars, and the motor was full of soldier ants that got into the ventilation and crawled up his leg.
He's lying, son. Our brand new Shizjig 4 mic a day is like all our fine products, 100% ant proof. And in any case, there's an emergency can of Raid in the glove box of every Shizjig car.
I know, Dad, but he says you're a scammer, a bad parent, and you're going to prison for a long, long time. He's doing a full investigation, and he froze your bank accounts in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, crap. They caught up with me. I wonder how they found out.
Spunkaluccio turned you in, Dad. He works for Homeland Security. So if you get indicted, does that mean I'm not still just Danny anymore, Dad?
Yeah, I guess it does, son. I guess it does.
So what happens now, Dad? That congressman is from South Carolina. Do you think he'll put you in the electric chair? They still have it there. Maybe he'll just wire you up to one of your electric cars and turn on the ignition.
I can't get into this now. I have a migraine that's switching on and off like a crazy monkey. Let me just grab some money and a bug-out bag, and I'm getting out of Dodge. You can keep the house and the helicopter.
See ya, Dad. Good riddance, you old pecker.
Bye, son.
You're still not just Danny anymore. Season 1 begins tonight on the Little White Balloon Network.
Okay, Mike, now that we are back and can discuss presuppositions, I wonder how much material we'll get to cover after that.
Well, first of all, what the heck are presuppositions? And I've got a great definition here. They are assumptions or implications that the listener accepts as true in order for the conversation to make sense.
There we go. And I know you have to cough right now. So
I just did. There.
There we go.
Now, when you realize that you don't have a cough, okay, that's a presupposition, isn't it?
That's it. When you realize that you need to cough is another presupposition.
Now, the interesting thing is we can use these in hypnosis sessions. And when you realize that you have all the power you need and can change completely, the implication is they have all the power they need and that they can change completely. You're not just saying, go ahead and change. You're building in stuff that keeps them moving forward. And you can put embedded commands in. Like if you take a phrase like, or a sentence, when you notice the comfort in your chair, what else do you feel as you go deeper? Now listen what you can say. You embed it. When you notice the comfort in your chair, then you can, and just throw in the embedded commands as part of it.
And you don't have to use when you X, then you
No, definitely not.
Version of packaging it. I mean, another presupposition would be something as simple as, what dressing are you having on your salad at lunch
Right.
today?
Implication, I'm going to get a salad and I will put dressing on it.
Double presupposition that you will have a salad, that you will put dressing on it, and that we're going out for lunch after.
This is really funny because just something came to mind that is completely unscripted, but it ties into this.
That's the best part.
When I used to hang out with Mike Smith, he used to imagine seeing guys in a street fight just tussling and tussling and people watching. And then eventually some guy yells, "Oh, come on, throw the effer, Fred." And he said, the implication is, the presupposition is, if Fred has this amazing throw, which if he did it, it would be over and the fight would be won by Fred because he has this thing. And the only thing that's stopping him winning is he has not done this particular throw. Now, all of this is built into throw the effort, Fred.
That's hilarious.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I didn't
I
swim.
had one on Tuesday night at volleyball. I got there a few minutes later than normal. So another guy, there was a Bluetooth speaker in the high school gym that he managed to pair his iPhone to, and he started playing music. I was like, oh, awesome. I don't even need to set mine up. But his phone started flaking out for whatever reason. Maybe it wasn't all downloaded.
Flaking out?
Yeah, so the music was playing, and then his phone is, near the speaker. Music just stops. Or now we're playing volleyball with all this awkward silence because we're used to music. It's awesome.
How can you have silence in a volleyball game?
Well, except for us playing. But the music is stopping, and then a minute later, it'll start again for a bit, and then it'll stop again.
Oh.
So, of course, I have to say to him, when you ordered that iPhone on AliExpress, did they charge you extra for the defective Bluetooth? Implication, it's a fake iPhone made from some fraud factory, I'll order it off of Alibaba or something like that.
Yeah.
So you can use presuppositions in hilarious ways. In fact, we do it all the time, right? Do you want to you want to talk about some of the funny examples that you've used?
Like what?
Oh, I don't know. Too many of them.
Like my body language.
Too many of them are a bit inappropriate for the podcast. But can you tone one down?
I can't even think of any. You mean the ones like have you stopped? Let's make it real simple. Have you stopped cheating on your income tax?
Yeah, there you go.
Are you feeling safer now that the police don't know where you are?
I'll give you the starting point.
Okay.
And you fill in the blank.
I'm in.
Does your wife know? No, not talking of you. I mean, like, say this one you could deliver to someone.
All right, don't say it to me.
Has your wife figured out yet?
Has your wife figured out yet why you go to the bar on Tuesday nights?
So, there's so many weird things that are built into
implications.
That. But you
presupposition is implication, isn't it? There's a lot of implication.
A lot of humor is based off of this.
You can say, do you think you'll feel better once they discover that cancer?
That's horrible.
I know it's fun, but it is funny because I'm of the mind if you cannot joke about serious things, how can you ever joke about funny things?
Yeah, there you go. That's true. That's a good lesson. All right. So
this is one of our weirdest, most fragmented podcasts we've ever done.
It is totally. I can't say that we're going to look back and go, wow, this was our best episode ever.
I think it's highly unlikely.
When we plan the next episode, there's a presupposition. What other presuppositions can people make? What kind of packaging can they use to give people presuppositions?
Well, the packaging is, and what do you wish to imply that they're going to accept without even considering it? Just let that get in. So it can be something like, a person like you who's ready to change generally finds da-da-da-da-da, or now that you've reached this point in your life where things are going so much better for you, how will you then do? And there's an implication that you have some information that things have improved or that they have a resource. And generally it will not be questioned because we're back to labeling. When you put a label on someone that is positive, there's a very strong human tendency to attempt to live up to it.
Yeah.
Something I think a man of your wealth and stature would really like to apply in his life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Look at you, the considered nodding and thinking. You look like Brian Mulroney then. You actually died. That's too bad.
Oh, no, I can't laugh. I can't stop
we can't.
laughing now because that is actually sad.
But you were imitating him. You're doing it again.
All right, so we're going to leave it up to you, listeners and watchers, as a challenge to come to the YouTube link, wherever this is hosted on YouTube, and post your presuppositions. We want to read them.
And when you post your own presuppositions and give us multiple 5-star ratings across every platform and say what a great job we're doing, how wonderful will you feel then?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
You did Brian Mulroney again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go on because we didn't plan out our presupposition segment enough. So simply because of that, we're going to move on to, oh no, you do have a few.
I got some nuggets of truth here.
Oh, that's cool. Well, let's talk about
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, let's talk about this. Feelings are unconscious. Did you want to promote the free community first?
We'll do that right after this.
All right.
Yeah.
Feelings are unconscious, right? This came up recently. The whole idea came about because one of our students, Fred, who's a professor at Sanford Fleming University, great guy, really nice man too. I had written our weekly newsletter and I mentioned, I don't pack on weight and don't get sick as often as when I used to flood my system with sugar by drinking cans of soda and eating wine gums and donuts, even Boston cream donuts. And I cut all that out. So I have it once every 5 months or something, which is no big deal. And Fred wrote to us a lovely email and he talked about how just me mentioning the word wine gums, and we're talking Maynard's wine gums from England here. As soon as he read that, he flashed back to his childhood and 2 or 3 different stores he used to go to and the candy that he he bought there. And he said it was like a completely different ego state came to the executive. And he said it was a really pleasant experience. Now, the memory triggered those feelings and those emotions. But it can work both ways around. Feelings and emotions can trigger memories. And over the years, my friend from grade 6, Brian McDowell, who we talked about many times, gentle giant, and shout out to you again, buddy. He and I would connect every now and then, very infrequently, and get our bikes. Like when we were kids, different bikes now, obviously. No high bars, no banana seats.
Yeah.
And we would ride through our old neighborhood. I still live in the hood. But he doesn't. He lives in Brooklyn, Ontario now. So he would come down. We'd ride our bikes around. And remember, that's where Larry Tacchino did this. And
it would purposely fire memories.
Well, that's the thing I didn't realize. Sometimes I'd just walk around there if I went for a long walk by myself through the old neighborhood, go through my old schoolyard. And then one day I stopped and said, what the hell am I looking for? Do I really expect Wayne Yanni to be standing on the corner with his pellet gun? Do I expect Larry Tacchino to be there with a penny trying to scrunch it down and make it flat so we could use it as a dime in a vending
firing
machine?
A bunch of anchors.
That's exactly what it was, Chris. Walking through there was firing off feelings and emotions from my childhood. That's what it was. I wasn't expecting anything. I was just reaccessing those states, which is what nostalgia does, and which is what high school reunions do too. And mine's already booked for next year.
This is interesting, right? Because you can accidentally have memories happen, like the Fred example, where you happen to say something or write something and that triggered a memory in him. Or you can go out and do it on purpose, which is your bike
intentionally.
riding story. So that's a really cool thing. And if you find things that you can do on purpose to trigger old memories that will make you feel good, you can use that as a way to get out of a bad state. It could be something as simple as looking at old pictures. These days, you ever notice people don't really print their photos anymore?
Yes.
You just take them on your iPhone and then eventually you scroll through them. But once in a while, like we were having breakfast with my mom and dad.
Okay.
And we went there and they had these envelopes full of actual 4x6 photos that my sister, who was in Poland, had mailed over, actually printed out hundreds of pictures.
Right.
And we all started looking through them going, oh, this is amazing. It was really positive triggering memories. So maybe that'd be a nice little empowering action. Go print a bunch of photos that are on your phone that are really old and look at them and have a good time.
Why do they have to print them in order to look at them? That's the part I'm missing in this.
It's just something different about the physical, tangible, and it's more shareable. I mean, how many times you go, oh, let me find the picture. Oh, yeah, you see?
Yeah.
And
there it is. There's the pecker, yeah.
But when you just pass around the pictures and everyone's hanging out and talking about old memories, that
is true.
Nice
because as you know, my brother-in-law passed away 2 months ago, and we've been going through a lot of photographs and found some great ones. And holding the physical photograph, many of them back from, the days when they used to change color over time. They'd fade or the color saturation would change somewhat. But it was very evocative of different states, good ones, because it was a physical thing. Again, I've just gone crazy on reading Alistair MacLean's adventure novels, and I could have bought 4 of them on Kindle, but I don't want to read on this freaking screen. I want the kinesthetic of the book. Sometimes we need a physical thing.
I just got this idea that we should take all of the pictures, not all of them, obviously, but best of different AOH classes, Architecture of Hypnosis.
Oh, great idea.
And print like a photo album of all our different classes. That would be so much fun.
And who would buy this, Chris?
We wouldn't sell it. It's just for us.
Presupposition. You're going to sell it.
You got me. Yeah. Who are you planning on selling that to?
You bastard. Yeah.
Oh
man.
That's funny.
Okay. I think we're out of Dodge.
I think so.
Why don't you give us the empowering question?
Yeah. Oh, before we do that, free community.
Yes. Listen to this.
Yeah. So we started a Facebook group and it is called, let's see if I can get this right, Brain Software. Gee, I wonder where we got that prefix.
Can't imagine.
So just like this podcast, it's called, you'll find it if you look for groups in Facebook called Brain Software. Anyone can join. You don't have to be a paying customer or anything like that. You do for the MMHA Engage group, which is our hypnosis community. But this is called Brain Software, Hypnosis and Communication for Professionals and Entrepreneurs. So that's the name of the group.
Say it one more time, Chris. Say it one more time.
Brain Software, Hypnosis and Communication for Professionals and Entrepreneurs. And you know what? I kind of think that pretty much includes everyone in the world.
That's good.
Because you've got to be professional at something.
Yeah.
Even if it's a professional amateur. There you go.
Okay. let's get the
Could have said
empowering
something.
question because I get a great Metafive.
All right. Anyway, the link to the group, that was it. I meant to give you the link, which is a short link. It's just a redirect. It'll take you to it. MikeMandelHypnosis.com / all one word, free group. Free group. Just string it all together.
Nice.
There you go. MikeMandelHypnosis.com / free group. We'll let you in.
Notice I don't interrupt your URLs.
I know.
It's only taken about 12
really
years.
Good at this, yeah.
Give us the empowering question there, Christopher.
All right, here is your empowering question for the end of podcast 252. Ask yourself, what has to happen in my life that will absolutely open new doors of opportunity? And how will I absolutely ensure that I am not still just Danny anymore?
Wow. Here's the Metafive, the destination funeral. A lot of people are having these destination weddings, which I think are a tremendous incursion and corruption upon people's time and finances. That, hey, your sister's getting married. Oh, that's great. I'm so glad for you. Yeah, well, you're going to love it. We're all going to,
Dominican.
Rio de Janeiro. And you got to fly down there and look after your own flights and your hotel. And we're going to have a rehearsal 2 days before. So you're going to need to be there 5 days. And you're thinking, oh, man, this is just money pouring out. I'm sure they can work really well, but they can also be a huge inconvenience. Listen, guys, how about destination funerals? I mean, really, I think that's freaking hilarious. These people have celebrations when other people die, and I think they can be good and uplifting, but I think funerals are great because they help people cry and depotentiate all the grief. So having said that, whenever I go in many, many decades, I'm ensuring my wife puts aside a big chunk of money to hire professional mourners, maybe some women from Sicily. You see them, they're great at this stuff, or even Iran. And the women and dressed in black and sobbing behind my casket as it goes through the street. But let's not stop there. I want my funeral in New Orleans. I want the traffic held back. I want a full New Orleans funeral with the band and everything. First, they're playing the really sad, and then they break into when the Saints go marching in. Everybody's walking like this. I want Dr. John playing piano for it. It's going to be a blast. So I'll tell you when to book it. Not soon, though.
That is the weirdest ending metaphor ever. Thank you all for listening to Brain Software 252. We're ending it just the way we started it, except Mike's pretending
Everything goes dead.
Pretending to be a mummy who was killed by a vampire who might have been named Dracula. Thanks again, and good night.